Hello everyone, I'm Jeremy Holiday and I am presenting on Module 16, the case study, Internet Use Violations. So Category 1, Problem Identification and Analysis. Several questions throughout this category. What do I know? What do I need to know? And what is the problem? Starting with what do I know that Miss Walker is a second-year teacher. She teaches in a fluent area. She teaches specialized science courses. Many students in her classes want to be valedictorians. The classes are rigorous and there have been complaints from parents. She hasn't implemented suggestions very successfully that she's received from her principal. Her principal, Dr. Forbes, has been principal for 9 years. He takes pride in the highly regarded reputation of the school. He hired Miss Walker as a highly qualified candidate and has given Ms. Walker suggestions to lower the stress level in her classes and to create a positive interaction with parents. A few other things that I know from this case study. Over Veterans Day holiday, Ms. Walker went to visit her parents. She isn't married yet, so I'm sure that she was looking forward to hanging out with them. When she got back, she had a website that gave her a link where people were criticizing her class. And the final comment on the webpage said, "Who wants Miss Walker to disappear?" Now, Miss Walker called Dr. Forbes because she was fearful for her safety. Dr. Forbes checked out the webpage and responded with he thought it was a prank. Now, Miss Walker thinks that Randy Franks did it, a student from her class, and Dr. Forbes says he's going to print off the email and talk with Randy Franks and his friends the next day. Miss Walker, meanwhile, is going to go spend the night at her parents'. Some things that I need to know: what vulgarities are being used on the web page? Can the district technologist start working on where the web page originated from or where the email that Miss Walker got came from? Should Miss Walker come to school tomorrow? And I also need to know board policies for this situation in order to approach discipline correctly. What's the problem? An inappropriate web page was created targeting one of my staff members, and Miss Walker is shaken up, and rightfully so. This will probably affect her classroom instruction. Miss Walker is now potentially in danger. I don't know who created the page and who made the last comment, so that makes almost anyone a potential threat, especially students who might be in her classes. The principal, Dr. Forbes, isn't taking this situation the best, as he isn't really making an effort to calm it. Category 2, my proposed plan of action. This includes a plan of action and strategies to implement the plan. So my plan of action includes contacting the district technologist immediately to have them start working on getting information. Call Miss Walker and advise her to take the day off tomorrow while we sort through everything. Contact the school resource officer and ask them to be at the school the next day. Print off the hard copy of the email and webpage. Interview students. Discipline students. Address steps of continuing teaching for Miss Walker and provide feedback for Dr. Forbes. Breaking down my plan of action, the first step is to contact the district technologist immediately. So I would plan on emailing the district technologist the webpage and have them look at it, and also check out the email that Miss Walker received to see if they can start tracing the IP address, and so we can get the people tracked down. I need to communicate effectively the importance of the situation. This is a Sunday evening, so this district technologist probably would not be the most enthused about having to do some work. I need to stay in contact throughout the rest of the evening and into the next day, and however many other days too, with the district technologist until we find out who posted the web page and the hurtful comments. My next step would be to call Miss Walker and offer advice. I'd go ahead and call her up. I would seek to comfort and address any fears and emotions she's going through by being a good listener. And then I would advise her to take the day off tomorrow. I know that if I was in her shoes, I would not be in an emotional state to teach. Next, I would contact the school resource officer. The school is a very large school, and so I would imagine that they would have a school resource officer. The purpose of calling the school resource officer is to provide them details of the story, ask them to be at school consistently while working through the situation. I'd probably ask for any advice they might have, and I think the school resource officer could then in turn look into getting more involvement from the police academy. Next, I'd print the email and the web page for my hard copies. I'd pull up the email and print it and the web page, and I'd place those copies in a place where they won't be lost and where they will 100% make it to school the next day, because I will be addressing students right off the bat. The next step is to interview students. As soon as students start showing up, I would begin interviewing. Even before the first bell rings, I'd go ahead and start kind of calling students in, especially students who might have a connection to Miss Walker's class. I would hold a school assembly to start the day, honestly, to review web use in the school and to create awareness of the story of what's happened. I think that by sharing the story, students will then be talking about it, and hopefully people will step forward and share. I would keep interviewing students until the culprit or culprits is caught. Next, I would discipline the student or students who started the web page and posted hurtful comments. I'd share with students any board policies that may address this certain situation. I'd have them apologize through a letter. I think they are still definitely at the age where I can help show them how to move on from a mistake. I think letting them think of ideas they have to fix the issue too, in terms of moving forward and moving on, is good dialogue to have between me and them. And lastly, I would share the final decision regarding discipline with the students and the parents. Next, I would address Miss Walker. Miss Walker's gone through a crazy experience, and so I would ask her to think about what she's experienced and provide some feedback to me so we could kind of talk it out. I would discuss ways to implement certain strategies for improvement based upon what she responded to me, and I would conclude that meeting with letting her know that I am an advocate for her. I'm willing to listen to fears, concerns, and give advice in moving forward. Lastly, I would provide feedback to Dr. Forbes. I would analyze the incident with Dr. Forbes of just him brushing things lightly to the side. I would probably encourage him to make an apology to Miss Walker for his approach, and then I would encourage him to learn from this experience. Category 3, resolve the issues. I have to think about what is best for students and provide some data as to how I did that. So what is best for students? As an educator, my role is to resolve issues based on promoting the academic success and personal well-being of every student. I would first address the web page and comments with students and staff as a whole, because that promotes the idea that we can learn and grow from this incident and reinforces any board policies. This is going to be very beneficial for my students to move forward from this incident. Next, by quickly reacting to finding the source, this is promoting a safer environment at school, which again is in the best interests of my students. Next, by addressing the guilty students and allowing them to reflect on the incident and apologize, is teaching them an important foundational skill in moving on from mistakes. We accept it, we own up to it, we apologize, and we move on. Finally, discussing the future with Ms. Walker fosters growth as an educator, which in turn benefits students. Category 4, debriefing the problem. This is where I'm going to share what I was thinking, feeling, and valuing as I dealt with the problem. What are some issues that are still unresolved or open to further investigation? Now, as far as what I was thinking, my first initial thought was, wow, how in the world do I solve this? This case study is very applicable, I feel like, to today's life as we are becoming more technology advanced. Another thought I had was, who would I call for advice? I'd like to seek out people's wisdom, and yeah, just was curious who I would lean upon. And lastly, is our school safe? As an administrator, I want to provide a safe environment for my students, and this webpage definitely sounded like a threat. What was I feeling? I was feeling a little nervous of just addressing conflict. The adrenaline started to pump as I read this and as I continued thinking about how I would respond, and I felt responsible. I want to ensure that everyone underneath my care is feeling safe. What was I valuing? I was valuing people, relationships, and how I would want to be treated. I know that if this was my circumstance as a teacher, I would want to be taken care of. And with the students, I want to take care of them and help them learn from this experience as well. Any issues still unresolved? Will Miss Walker be able to recover from this incident and be an effective teacher? Is she willing to put forth an effort to improve teaching strategies? And are parents still going to be upset with Miss Walker moving forward, specifically the students who got in trouble? Category 5 is reflecting on Standard 5. Standard 5 says the building level administrator is an educational leader who promotes the success of all students by acting with integrity, fairness, and in an ethical manner. I demonstrated integrity and ethical behavior by promoting the academic success of every student, by addressing the entire school in order to learn from this incident. I showed appreciation for Ms. Walker by listening to her concerns and suggesting she take the day off. I also avoided talking negatively of Ms. Walker despite knowing struggles she has had in the classroom. Treating others fairly with respect. I adhered to ethical principles and professional norms while I held all students to the same standard of online ethics. I engaged in open and honest conversation with the student or students who were guilty and had them reflect upon their actions to help them move on. And I encouraged Ms. Walker to reflect and learn from this experience. This will help her become a more effective teacher. I demonstrated personal and professional code of ethics by staying in contact with Ms. Walker moving forward to provide feedback to instructional strategies or for mentorship. I also allowed students to learn from their mistakes, and I addressed Dr. Forbes. As a fellow administrator, he isn't above having feedback given to him, and so that's an important piece of this as well. This concludes my last presentation within EDL 850 Educational Law. This has been a fun summer of 2017. Thanks for watching.